As I'm getting older, chip upon my shoulder, rolling through life, you roll over and die. La 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 la, la 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 la, la 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 la.
Hey guys, it's Streed, and today I'm going to be reviewing Louise Malle's Elevator to the Gallows. This was my second Malle film and my fourth venture into the French New Wave. I discovered it on Turner Classic Movies and hadn't heard of it previously, but its premise intrigued me, so I decided to give it a watch on a quiet day with not much else to do. Unfortunately, this was quite the disappointment. It shares many of the same issues I've had with previous New Wave films, excluding 400 Blows, of course. However, before I get into my criticisms, I'll quickly go over my praises. The greatest aspect about this film has to be its hypnotic noir-esque atmosphere. It's drenched in a sense of coolness and style. The soundtrack is quite serviceable as well. None of the tracks really stood out as memorable, but I don't think they were supposed to. I love the way it was shot too. It's gorgeous, haunting, and beautiful to look at. Visually, this film is spectacular. In terms of praise, however, that's pretty much it. I ostensibly have the same criticisms I had for Le Samurai. The characters are far too underwritten and boring, thus making the film a near chore to sit through. The film is like a puzzle with a lot of intricate detail, but the characters simply aren't compelling enough to carry it. We barely know anything about Julian and his mistress Florence. Aside from them sharing an immense love, they have virtually no personality. It's like watching a duller version of Bonnie and Clyde with elements of Le Samurai thrown into the mix. A heavy portion of the film, our main characters don't really contribute much. I will admit, it starts out relatively quick-paced and interesting, but after Mr. Corolla's death, the film's pace quickly dies with him. Florence just wanders around looking for Julian, and Julian himself spends a majority of the film trying and failing to escape an elevator. The film also shifted focus to an annoying car thief couple, which is where the Bonnie and Clyde elements come into play. These were undeniably my least favorite characters. I felt a great deal of absolutely nothing when they tried to commit suicide. If anything, I thought it was hilarious when they seemingly died and Julian was framed for their crimes, thus making their deaths entirely pointless. However, the film robs me of that minute joy by having them survive. This may be tacitly controversial, but I didn't care for Jean Moreau's acting either. Her dialogue was so overly dramatic, borderline pretentious, and so was her acting. I rolled my eyes every time she blathered on about Julian and her love for him. Pretty cringe-inducing, almost Godardian, and that's not a compliment. I get the impression she's trying to convey a grief-stricken lover, worn down by the thought of Julian abandoning her, but it comes off as tacitly self-indulgent and melodramatic in an embarrassing way. I still dislike the car thief couple infinitely more, though. The girlfriend was like Florence tenfold. Overall, Elevator to the Gallows is a lesser film by Malle. It's an intriguing puzzle with a lot of clever setups and payoffs, but its intrigue is buried beneath a heap of tedium and drudgery. Pretty boring, but a sort of relaxing kind of boredom that I can't summon much vitriol for. I've definitely seen much worse in my time, but I'll never be saying this again. 5 out of 10.